Okay, so let's face it, there were many negatives to come from the COVID challenges over the past year, but I hope you were also able to find some positives from the experience. If you're anything like me, there are many folks like us in our 40s, 50s, and 60s who use this time to really stop and think about where we are in our life and what we want going forward. So it's given us a little pause, whether we were wanting it, needing it, or expecting it at all, but we had this nice little pause. And as our focus in our Life Reimagined podcast is just that, carving out and reimagining our next chapter, it's a perfect time to also discuss how you will recreate going forward. Now, the definition of recreate is to give new life or freshness to, and that's exactly what my guests, Melissa and Kim, today are focused on, helping you reimagine and recreate to make this and your next chapter your best. So join us today as these ladies help me dive into the details of not only how to come up with how to take your ideas, but how to recreate and take what you want to go after and then make it so that it becomes your new reality. I am really excited to announce that I'm partnering with Melissa Lamson and Kimberly Miles, the co-creators of Recreate Now, which is an action tank for women, which I love that part, not just a think tank, but an action tank. And I'll give you a little bit more information and detail, the formal stuff about these ladies in just a moment. But first, I want to talk about their focus and recreation organization and the action tank 2021 that's kicking off in the next few weeks. But if you hurry, there are only I think maybe 2 spots left. So this is an amazing, very small private group, an amazing mastermind think tank and accelerator. And it's kind of an all-in-one for women 50 and up to really build upon and launch your next meaningful whatever it's going to be. And I love that it aligns perfectly with my focus on inspiring your next, right? So they're going to help you figure out how to take that dream and really work with you very closely to make it a reality. So you can check out more details. And again, submit really quick, submit ASAP if you're interested at recreatenow.org. So now, welcome ladies. I'm going to get into the official stuff, but we have Kim and Melissa with us here. So for the real formal stuff. So Melissa Lamson is an executive coach, author of 6 books, and speaker who's worked in projects in over 40 countries. She's built and run companies in Europe and the US. And for a few years, we'll say, she's developed leadership strategy and taught leadership programs for companies like 3M, IKEA, LinkedIn, MTV. I got to ask you more about that. And her signature program for women leaders was the most highly attended program at SAP for 10 years. She's been featured in Wall Street Journal, Chicago Tribune, Forbes, and much, 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 much more. But welcome, Melissa.
Thank you very much, Wendy.
And then we also have Kimberly Miles with us, who spent over 20 years marketing and advertising as a publisher and a serial entrepreneur at heart and a ravaged tennis player too. Kimberly left the corporate world, co-authored her own book, and at the same time rose to the top of a network marketing company. She's also a certified leadership coach, trainer, speaker. She's a master at creating high quality events, building online brands, and starting companies. And she's a co-founder of a nonprofit for kids and co-host a popular podcast, Kiss Corporate Goodbye. So welcome, Kim.
Thank you. Thank you.
Well, I am really excited to be partnering with you ladies. And as we're wrapping up May, getting into June. So we've got a lot of exciting things coming up, which we are going to dive into in just a moment. But first, I would love for our listeners to get to know you a little bit better and hear, how did you get to the point where you are today, that you're working together and that you're getting ready to kick off Action Tank 2021. So Melissa, why don't you tell us a little bit about how you got to where you are today?
Yes. So Kim and I met through a mutual friend when I started running a women's poker game once a month. So Sweet. This is something I've done in every new location I've moved to. I've started a women's poker night basically to kind of build relationships and build community where I live. And it's just gone over really, really well. So Kim joined the poker group, and I was so excited to meet her and know her and just felt like an immediate kinship. And during COVID, we started walking together, and we were talking a lot about all kinds of deep issues, as I'm sure many of us have, right, during that time of the pandemic. And I just felt like we had so many interesting connections and perspectives. And it was just really fun and great to talk to her. And we decided at one point last summer, we needed to get out of the heat, and we had both been tested, and we said, let's go up to Sedona and just hike and get away. And so we did. And that even further deepened our friendship. And we started to talk a little bit about, what are you most passionate about in your business? What are you most excited about? And we both came to the conclusion that it was really about helping women, supporting women, working with women who were just like, impatient and ambitious and excited about building something and working on something. And so we just started talking back and forth, and it literally just fell out of us. We were like, you know what? It's an underserved, overqualified market. What could they need? And so we started thinking think tank, networking, coaching. Yeah, that all exists. Oh my gosh, we need an incubator accelerator. And we like the term action tank because it fits with us. We're both very action oriented. We like results. And so we wanted to build something where women could come in, launch an idea or build and expand an existing idea or business, and really make sure that it's running at the end of it. So that's how we got there.
That's how you got there. And I love, because Shark Tank is, a lot of people are familiar with Shark Tank. So I love the fact that it's an action tank and supportive of the women. And again, a collegial circle to really help propel their ideas forward.
That's right.
Yeah,
All right, so Kim, hop in here.
Well, it's funny because I am a serial entrepreneur. I have a couple businesses. So when Melissa and I met, it certainly was not at all on my mind to start a business. That was the last thing.
Another business.
So I was like, no, I'm trying to retire, right? But we started to have like this conversation about, women who've been successful. We've climbed the corporate ladder. We've accomplished a lot of our goals, but we still feel like this is the prime of our life. And what's next? And I was really seeking a way to make a bigger impact, make a bigger difference, and even have a little bit more fulfillment. And so when we started to talk, and then we started to really think about the women that we knew that were of, in their, 50s, we started to think about, what if we could really create something where it's a place and a space for them to just create a better life, but really create a better world and start to have a bigger impact on everything. And so it's sort of blossomed as this little tiny idea that is now this big idea where we're talking to people in different countries and different states about really having this action tank. And you mentioned the Shark Tank. So one of the things that both of us are passionate about is really investing in women's organizations and empowering them to, really go big. And so part of our Recreate Action Tank is what we call a dolphin tank, because we think dolphins are smarter and nicer.
And we swim together.
We
swim together, not alone.
Yes. And so part of our Recreate Action Tank is going to culminate with a pitch competition where we have a Recreate fund that we're going to invest in women's organizations that we think are going to make a huge impact on the world. So that's really kind of where I was coming from. I was coming from this place of, I want to do more and be more and give more and serve more, but I don't know where that is going to come from. And then Melissa and I, like she said, we started just spitballing ideas, and all of a sudden it was like, we could do this, we could do this. And that's what we love. And I think that sort of happened when, Wendy, we met you too, and we started to collaborate because we picked the word recreate because of the double entendre of recreate and recreate. And we were also finding that women, kind of in this second phase, we weren't having as much fun and recreating. And we wanted, right? Just like that good old fashioned fun, because we're so busy taking care of everybody. And so we're like, we have to let enjoyment lead. We want to make sure that we recreate, which is why you are the perfect recreate partner for us.
Yay. Well, I'm just as excited as you guys are. I mean, I can't even begin to tell you. And it was just funny as this timing came together. Like you said, I think part for when I changed corporate tracks, I didn't know where I was going to end up, how this was going to evolve. I knew like you mentioned, Kim, I knew I wanted more. I knew I wanted a passion project, and thankfully, the women who are in this circle and in this chapter in our lives, we've worked really hard, and so we've gotten to the point where we have success, right? And so we can take more risks and go for what we really want now.
Mhm.
So I was really, really excited to see you all take this concept and go beyond the think tank and the action tank, and the funding piece itself, I think, is also huge because a lot of
Yeah.
women have no idea how to access capital out there, and myself
Yeah,
included.
right.
I mean, I worked for a nonprofit, and I never had to seek my own private investors. So talk a little bit about your dolphin tank, and you've got a panel of others that are really, again, pulled together. So can bring that into the little mix a little bit more, because I think that's another really unique piece you guys are bringing to the table.
Yeah, sure. I mean, what's been exciting is that not only did we really love our idea after our time in Sedona and then shared it with you and you liked it, but we also did, extensive market research. We had interviews, focus groups with women, and it was fascinating to see the difference between those who were 47, 48, 49, and those who were really in their 50s, 60s, 70s, and even 80s, who we talked to and said, this is really it. I mean, below 50 was kind of like, yeah, it sounds interesting, not quite sure. But everyone that was really at that 50 mark and over, up to, as I said, in their 80s, were just like, this is something big. And it's like you wrote your website for me, like you wrote a letter to me, which was really beautiful to hear. So anyway, coming back to the dolphin tank. So part of that was reaching out to our extensive network. So we did that and said to them, look, you've been really successful. You've gotten, hundreds of millions of dollars in funding for your own business. You've grown from 1 to 1,000 people in your organization. You've owned 4,000 franchises globally. You've run multiple businesses, and you're now into 300 million in growth. And just whoever out there is really just being successful in terms of building and launching, and said, what do you think about Recreate? And they all went, oh my gosh, this is amazing. I wish this was around when we were just starting, because it's taken us years and years to go where we are. And we love to support you. So they're all kind of coming and sitting on this dolphin tank, if you will, who will then listen to the presentations at the final session. And they all invest in businesses. They like to partner. Even just giving feedback is hugely valuable for these women who are coming. And they'll also kind of choose the one that they believe makes the biggest impact on the world for good. And then Kim and I have set aside a bit of money. We call it the Recreate Fund, to give on to that person, just as some seed money, just to kind of symbolically say to them, look, we really love your idea, and it's great that you were able to win the pitch competition, if you will. But it's just a great opportunity to get in front of some people who've done it before and who just know what works and what doesn't, and who are extremely successful.
Well, and you guys I love the fact that you're investing, financially and in the ideas, but this is a long investment you guys are making with all these women at the same time. I mean, because there's a lot of one-on-one coaching or 2-on-1 coaching and a lot of group support. So Kim, talk a little bit more about the structure and what's to come. I know you guys are kicking off June 19th.
Yes. So I think, one of the things that we found was that women tend to not think as big as they should. And we sort of start small, and we're a little bit apprehensive to put kind of our ideas out there. And so we really wanted to create a place where you can vision and really think about your idea and think a lot bigger and think in it in a different way possible. So we're doing 4 live events, and the first event is all about visioning and getting clear. And like Melissa said, there's women who are starting a business, and there's women who have current businesses. And what the common denominator is just getting them to think bigger and see about global expansion for some, and just turning those ideas into a clearer picture. That's sort of day one, with some other fun stuff going on, right? That we have to keep on the down low it's surprises. And then it's really about, okay, you've got this idea, you're really clear. How do you build the plan? And what is that and what does it consist of? And then there's a whole marketing and sales piece and a funding piece and access to capital, because like we were talking about earlier, a lot of women don't realize how much capital is out there. And so we've kind of combined all of these things, and in between our live events, a really important piece is that accountability piece. So we've created what we call creation pods, where they'll meet separately and really hold each other accountable. And then we've got all the recreate in between. And so it was really, last year, I think for a lot of people, the overused word of, 2020 was pivot. But, so many women are at this stage in their life where they are thinking, what's next? How can I reimagine? How can I reinvent myself? How can I really recreate? Because I can make a big difference. And so that's really what is the basis of how can we come together, empower each other, and create something that can change the world, really.
Yeah. Well, and you all probably know the statistics and the data, just like I do, with our purchasing power is phenomenal. We have so many women, and I'm like, I want to go back to something you mentioned, Melissa, this line of 50 plus. It's really tricky because, I started with 50 plus, but then I had some in the later 40s going, but I want to be a part of it. So it's always really tricky, but I think our 40s, 50s, and 60s, we have so much purchasing power, and we're our healthcare lead for the family or our significant others. We're, usually the consumer budget officer. And, so there's so much that we have to leverage. And I love also that you guys are speaking to the fact that many women either don't know the path how to leverage or how to leverage quickly. And so you could take 5 years to build that business, or you can go through an action tank and really kick it into high gear.
That's right.
What we found too is, so many women were saying, I've had this idea forever. I just don't know how to start, or I don't know how to, get it off the ground. And Melissa and I are like, we do. We're going to show you how. And not only are we going to show you how, we're going to show you how to do it fast. And so that you've got the right mindset, the right tools, and really the right connections so that you can accelerate. And so that's really exciting, because what we're hearing is like, I've had this idea forever, but I don't know. And we're like, we do. We can help you.
That's right. Yeah. That's right. Yeah. The buying power, to your point, Wendy, I think it's 85% women globally hold the buying power. It's a big number.
It is.
And women 50 and up are like the highest number of entrepreneurs or new business owners launching new businesses. It's something like that too. So
fastest growing group of entrepreneurs. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. Well, you just look even at marketing, right? Remember when Sears launched the softer side of Sears, eons ago, that was to target women. And now I just saw, I think it's Stihl, STIHL, which is all like mowing and gardening equipment, and chopping wood, and it's a woman on the ad, and it's like our demographic. It's not the 20-year-old son that they've got out in the backyard mowing the grass. So it's fascinating, and I think there's so many ways that, again, like our predecessors, we have so many more opportunities that they didn't have access to, and it's really great to see you all able to support women as they take these ideas and kind of go forward. So, okay, so to give the folks who are listening a little bit more, so they can go to recreatenow.org. And again, there's only a few spots left, and this involves some interviews to see if you're the right fit, correct?
Yeah, and if we're the right fit for them, for sure.
Right. Yeah. So talk just a little bit about the process. And again, because you're kicking off in like a little bit less than 4 weeks, tell them what's the first thing that they need to do to kind of get this going if they're interested in talking with you further.
Yeah, I mean, they should reach out to us by email first and foremost. So info@recreatenow.org is probably the easiest. And then we'll send them the link, which just shares kind of the highlights of everything to do with the program. And then what they do is schedule, if it all looks good to them, then they would schedule, or if they like what they've heard, they'll schedule a time with us. And then we'll get on Zoom and have a conversation about, what are you looking at? What's your dream? What are you trying to build? Let's discuss it and formulate some goals there. And then if it's the right fit, we'd love to have you join us.
Great.
Yeah.
Well, and I love the fact that, so since I'm bringing in the recreate, see, I think I have the best part of this whole thing because I get to do it. So I'm just going to make no bones about it. I'm excited. So we're looking at how are we going to have some fun with the business side of things, and also help folks create their live it now list. What is, we're not going to wait till we're 82 and take the cruise to Greece. No. What do you want to do now? What's either something you got away from that you love? Maybe it's the sea, maybe it's the beach, maybe it's the mountains, whatever. What do you want to get back to that's going to light your fire and make you smile and create the memories that you want now, when we can still do all these really great things? So I'm excited at some of the activities that we've got planned that'll kick off this summer as well, and kind of both in conjunction with the live events, but then also on other dates outside of that they can join, whether they want to paddleboard for the first time or we want to take an outdoor culinary class, whatever it's going to be. So I'm excited for that piece as well.
Yes, Kim and I were really excited to partner with you because we said from the beginning that when you recreate, it sparks your creativity, right? Which fosters innovation and allows you to think bigger and differently. And that's what really gets us in that mode of being able to build. And I think I don't know, I think there's something interesting too about recreating, whether it's dancing or painting or hiking. There's something about letting go of some inhibitions and that stress, which creates all that kind of blocking, right? And all that kind of negative self-talk of like, can I do it? And should I do it? And, but what if I,
but this, but that.
Exactly. It really frees all that. So the recreate piece is really critical, we believe, and I think you do too, obviously, Wendy, to be successful professionally. And so it's not only just for fun, although we're partial to having fun.
Right.
It's really also, I think, necessary to be able to be successful.
Yeah, we wouldn't have even started this business if we weren't in that recreate mindset. If we weren't sitting at the spa, looking at the red rocks, really just being for the first time in this.
That's what I think of too, for you guys, your whole story of how this came forward.
Yes. I mean, we're so busy doing I'll do this when, and we're, women on the move, multitasking, getting a lot done during the day, taking care of everybody else. And it was kind of the first time in a long time that I had just been doing nothing, sitting by the pool, having a little cocktail with my friend and looking in a beautiful atmosphere that happens to be sort of magical. But that's when you start to let, like, to Melissa's point, let those guards down and start to get those creativity, those creative muscles going. And I don't think we would have ever come up with this or ever been in this space if we hadn't had really taken that time to, and most of us don't take that time, which was kind of another reason why we wanted, some live events, because we wanted to force women to take some time.
Get out of their boardroom or this room.
Yes, exactly.
Yes. Exactly. And I feel really strongly that if we're going to build, and we still need to find the right term for this, but let's call it the New Girls Network. Okay. But if we're going to really build that solid network of people that we know we can rely on forever, right, to exchange resources and help build our own sense of worth and power within our communities, we really need to do that face to face. Because it's not really just the content that people are learning, it's those relationships that they're building that they know forever they'll be able to rely on for favors, for resources, for access. And that's what helps us build that credibility. I hate to use I know the word power is a little bit ugly for women, but
no, it's okay. Power.
It's power and status and finances and abundance and all that stuff that has been in the old boys network for a long time, and also the new boys network for that matter.
I mean, absolutely. Melissa and I are 100% convinced that it's going to be women that change the world. And we want to just have that little hand in it where we can push them to their greatness, right? Because a lot of times, it's just being surrounded by the right people that can help elevate your mindset and get you closer and have those, it's the mindset, the connection, and those tools that we keep talking about.
Yeah, because I mean, a lot of work gets done in again, boardrooms and meeting rooms, but a lot more work gets done in the glass of wine at the end of the day, or in the hallway conversation, or sitting in Sedona when all the rest of the crap is gone, right? And you can just relax, like you said. And I love the fact, on the recreate side, I completely agree, as you would guess, that, every time you're tackling something new, you're building new cognitive pathways and you're feeling stronger and more confident about your risk-taking abilities. And it really is just fun to watch people, whether they're, launching their artwork online to sell for the first time, or they're writing their first blog, or they're taking a first hike. I didn't go camping until I was 51. I didn't know I liked camping, right? So it's really cool to see people find what they love and really, first of all, ask that question, because a lot of times we're too busy that we don't even ask that question. But now not only ask the question, but then keep us accountable to actually keep prioritizing us and get these ideas into the new reality. That's not just an idea, not just an action, but where do you want to be in a year, and let's make it happen. So
that's right.
I think that's the key. I think, so many of us have sort of these unfulfilled dreams, whether it's, I want to write a book, I want to travel the world. I've always had this great idea for an app or something, but they're just a little bit nervous to start. And so we get to say, we're going to lock arms with you and we're going to help you, birth whatever it is that you want to create or recreate in the next 9 months in the action tank.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. And I think there's also, and again, maybe I'm asking you guys this question. It's not just they don't know how to start, but sometimes it's that perception of either being judged or doing it the wrong way. And so they're taking those little baby steps, or they just aren't ready to put it out there, right? Because they're afraid of being judged, or there's a problem with it, as opposed to really just, some of our male counterparts are like, what the hell? I'm just going to try it, right? And see what happens. And we need more of that, and emboldening our women sisters to actually take those steps. And it's okay. And even if you take a funky step that needs adjusting, you're learning every time, and it's evolving into this next chapter that you want to get to.
And I love that you say that too, because especially when it comes to money, it's amazing how many male entrepreneurs, how many men who are building and starting, even with just ideas, they haven't even put anything together necessarily tangibly. They're talking money, they're taking money, they're giving money, they're funding, they're investing. And it's just amazing, because it's like that kind of the detachment almost that men have from the money. It's like, well, money is a thing and it'll come and it'll go, and we're using it and it's important. And of course, and it's such a big deal for women. And most women bootstrap their own businesses and their own organizations. Yes. And it's like, wait a minute, there is, first of all, especially since the pandemic, there's a ton of free money out there. Then there's also just a bunch of grant money. And then there's actually people who invest, and they don't necessarily invest with any real guarantees, because they know what investing is all about.
Right.
And so I'm not suggesting that we be irresponsible, but I think it's important for us to just adjust our mindset a little bit, particularly when it comes to that, because the money piece is real. And that would give us a little bit more of a sense of comfort, being able to have a bit more flexibility, right, in terms of building, and that there is money out there. And so we want to make sure that we're presenting that and providing all those options also to the women in our action tank.
Yeah.
And I think the other piece is what men do really well is they always have mentors. They always are taking people underneath their wing. And for some reason, I don't hear a lot of women talking about, oh, I had some great mentorship. And so part of the Recreate Action Tank, and the reason why there is the application process, and because we really want to make sure that you're going to give and receive. And so that it is a, network of women really in the truest sense supporting each other and being mentors for each other, because so often. I mean, I didn't have a mentor for the longest time. And then when I finally had one, I was like, oh, this has helped immensely. It was the year that I accomplished so much in my personal and professional life. And I think it's that aversion to asking, that women still seem to like, they're not always asking for what they want, which I think you had mentioned something about that earlier, and not even knowing what you want because we're so busy, right?
We're doing,
We don't
we're
take
doing,
the
doing,
time to
doing,
even
doing,
know.
doing. Yeah.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah. And we're really, really good at putting on those superwoman boots, right? Taking care of the kids and the spouse and the church and the school and the whatever it is, right? And it's not because we were raised with any malintent. I mean, that's just how this worked, right? I mean, we had to keep making sure everything was moving forward. And I'm surprised how many women at our stage either need not only the push or the permission that it's okay. Like,
That's
it's not
right.
selfish, to
Right.
take care of you and really put your needs first. Because if you are taking care of yourself physically, emotionally, spiritually, mentally, you're going to be stronger in your relationships with your family, with your friends, with your spouse, whatever, and
That's
be
right.
more effective in everything you do. So I think that's the other piece that I'm excited to see, is helping people shift their mindset again along these financial roadblocks or self-imposed roadblocks, right? Or these, I'm not good enough to get that company that big, or whatever is blocking us right now. So lots of really fun things to see. And I love the fact that reimagine and recreate work really well together.
You do.
So, all right. So now to end on a fun note, not that this hasn't been fun already, but all right. So to end on a fun note, since I'm about the adventure fun piece, I want you guys to tell me one either adventure, creative, active, or travel adventure, either you're working towards right now, or that you absolutely loved, blew you away, and it needs to be on everybody else's list.
So I'll start, because next April I will be 55. And for my 55th year, my plan is to hit every Grand Slam tennis event. So that means
Oh,
in that calendar year before I turn 56. So I will start with the French Open and then go to Wimbledon and then the US and then culminate in Australia, all before I'm 56. So that is my big plan.
that's a
Yay.
great plan.
Yay.
Anyone's welcome to come with me,
Okay.
as long as you love tennis, right?
Exactly. As long as you
There's
love
that.
tennis,
And I
or
like
those
tennis.
locations.
Well,
Yeah.
okay.
That sounds great. So so last August, actually, in place of, it was funny, the trip that I took with Kim replaced what I was supposed to be doing, which was walking the Camino up the coast of Portugal.
Yes.
And yeah, so that's been rebooked for 2022. And so we'll be walking for a week up the coast of Portugal from Porto to Oi. And then, and then I have a bunch of European friends who I've known for years who are going to join me, and it should be just a fabulous, all women. So it should be a fabulous trip.
That sounds amazing.
Yeah.
And
Excited.
is that, I know there's also a similar type of long walk in Spain. Is this related or connected in any way?
Sorry. So it is. So the
Okay.
Santiago de Compostela is the not church, but cathedral that allegedly the bones of St. James are buried. And so what's happened is that there's this Camino walk, El Camino, is through Spain.
Okay.
But you can go through Portugal to Spain, or you can go through France and then to Spain. And there's maybe 30 different walks you can do for 7 days or 30 days. And so we just thought this Portuguese walk was just beautiful because it was or Portugal walk was beautiful because it's along the water. Yeah. And we may or may not make it to Santiago de Compostela, but I think we may cut it short right before it. But the point is,
where you end
doing the walk. Yeah, we're doing the walk. Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, I had never heard of this until about probably 2 months ago. One of my other guests, Julie Olstrup, who's a photographer, walked in her part of her journey was in Spain. And she tells this really amazing story about how they went to a very small private church that, like seats like 20 people, right? It's very, very small. And I'll spare you the long version, but she heard angels singing. And so she was singing along the song. And the next day they were all talking about it, her colleagues who were walking with her. And they said, there was no singing. What are you talking about? And so she was the only one who, I guess, heard this voice in this song. So it gives me goosebumps. So I never heard of this, but when you just mentioned this, Melissa, I wondered if they were connected in any way. So
yeah.
Oh, very cool. Oh, these are good. These are really good to add. So thank you for, first of all, for having those and having your plans, working towards them, and then for sharing them, because that's the other piece I love is I'm looking for, you hear the story about, kids are always asking adults what they wanted, or adults are asking kids what they want to be when they grow up because they're looking for ideas. I'm looking for every idea like this so I can keep adding it to my list. So thank you for those.
Absolutely. Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, thank you so much for being here. Again, if you haven't had a chance to already go check out recreatenow.org, you should run over there before everybody else has a chance to scoop up those last 1 or 2 seats. And then come join Kim, Melissa, and me in Phoenix in June and get your idea and kick it off and get going, man. So thank you guys so much for being here. I'm so excited to work with you and can't wait to see how things go in the next few months.
We are too.
Thank you so much.
Pleasure, Wendy.
All right. Thanks, everyone. Have a good day. And thanks for listening.
You too. Bye. Take care.